greetings, greetings. We are in the lab. We're in the lab. We're back in the lab. And again, this is a special day. As we say, all our guests will come on Run Tell That. All special guests we got in the house. We got special guests in the house as always. Run Tell That. So now I gotta let y'all know, do like this. I gotta let some of y'all know that this is a special day also. For some of you sitting out there right now, I would not be here right now. This special day, I would not be here today. I would not be here today if it was not for someone on this special day coming into the world. Because on this day right here, my grandmama, Annabelle Murray, right on Hilton Head, Annabelle and Sonny Murray, they gave birth to my mama. One of the reasons why I'm here today, because this is my mama's birthday. So all y'all Run Tell That family, about happy birthday for my mama. I at least got to do that, because I talk about her so much. Put it out that she make her comments, Julius Hall and everybody. She make the comments to Keisha Gibson Carter. So as you know, because they send me the cards, bam, and I call it on out. Today is my mama's birthday, January 25th. And so she's celebrating 82 years right now. My mama, the same lady who locked me up in the closet when I was little. She don't like me saying that. She said, Lord Jamal, people gonna believe that foolishness. So, and I gotta say this. And one of my mama pastors, my mama, my family, one of my churches in my family, is St. Philip Monumental AME Church. As I say, historic St. Philip Monumental AME Church. And one of her pastors is Reverend Dr. Carolyn Jordan. And Dr. Jordan go right along. She sided against me, but my mama, Mrs. Lee, Sister Lee. So yeah, happy birthday to my mama. And so it's so fitting that, again, we ain't got Reverend Carolyn Jordan on, but we got somebody else. We got Brother Michael Wright in the house. Brother Michael Wright in the house. Glad to have you with us, brother.
Glad to be here. Happy birthday to your mother. She was part of a great creation. I can tell you that.
That's right. We give it to the Most High. That's right. We say yes, her and my daddy. I say yes, indeed, yes, indeed. So my brother, this is how we do. Run Tell That. We say to all you out there, we say share, 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 share. And this show is on National Freedom Day, and we're going to get further into it. But as we always do with all our guests, Brother Mike, is this right here. Who are you? Who are you?
Well, I am called Michael Wright. I am a father, a son, a husband, and I am an activist for our people. As it relates to this conversation today, I am the great grandson of Richard R. Wright, who was the founding president of Savannah State University, the Savannah State University. I'm from this city right here originally, and I'm proud to be Philly. Everything Philly is me, just like Dr. Jordan, and I'm sure you know that yourself.
Absolutely. There's that spirit. Now I'm gonna let you know this. Our producer, Julius Hall, he's indicated that Philly will not be going to the Super Bowl. That his indication, our producer Julius Hall said it's gonna be San Fran. That's what he said. He said Deebo Samuels. That's what he said, because he wore his I'm surprised he ain't got on his Deebo Samuels shirt right now. I'm just letting you know. You know.
And that's surprising, because in having the pre-set up conversation, he seemed such a educated man and a man worldly of many things. But I guess we all can't be experts on the outcome of football.
he slipped up. Yes, indeed. And Ellis, we appreciate that. We say thank you. And so, Brother Mike, you went and jumped into some of it. So now we're going to ask this question, because you know what we do in our community, Black folks in our community, we always got to ask people at times, say, who your people? So who your people? Because again,
well, my people, like many people, all across Black people across this nation, started in Georgia, in the South. I'm the great grandson of a woman that our family only knows as Lucy, who had a granddaughter who was the mother of my great grandfather. and they were enslaved in Dalton, Georgia, and then sold to a plantation in Cuthbert, Georgia.
Okay.
And she took her family upon liberation to Atlanta. Some of the family stayed in Georgia for a good portion of their lives, and the major, who's my ancestor, migrated to Philadelphia, and that's where my people, my mother, my father, and all were raised and grown up and educated. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. Okay. All right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And so now we ask this question: who inspires you, or what inspires you?
Wow, that's so I'll say this. I'll say anyone who is actively working to advance our people inspire me.
Yes.
And one of the people that I look as a model for that is brother and Baba Harry Belafonte, for his work behind in a lot of ways, for his ability to become a self-sufficient entrepreneur that wasn't relying on the industry to be his sole source of existing. And then his work behind the scenes in the civil rights movement, in funding, in actively speaking out for our people, and then the continuous work for economic, social justice for people of color, not only here but around the globe, and being unapologetic about who he is and what he does. So he's the model of what I think I would like to be one day.
Oh yes, yes indeed, yes indeed, and powerful with regard to that. So we also now come to this point of what song gives you that that when you hear that song, or it could be a song or songs that give you that that when you hear it, it's just like bam. It gives you that spirit, give you that drive, that give you that. It take a moment up, take your mind to another level. That to excel, to enjoy, to experience, like to have the fullness of it all.
So a couple, when I am pulling myself out of those dark times, those low times, there's a song that is sung by Layla Hathaway called "When Your Life Was Low."
Okay.
And for when I'm trying to energize myself for the work that I think is important for our people, it's the Redemption Song, either by Bob Marley or by Sister Lauryn Hill.
All right.
The lyrics move, get in my soul and move my bones and remind me of who I am, of whose I am, and from where I came from.
All right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. And to Bernard Brown, we don't care that you agree with Julius that it's going to be San Fran. Again, we don't care. We don't care about that. Understand, Philly is in the house right now. Philly is in the house right now.
Philly is in the house.
That's right. That's right. Number one, number two, defenses, squads right there, going to be right there. But then you got number one offense in the house. So understand that, Bernard Brown. All right.
There's, like most young brothers that end up in Philadelphia either by transplant or by birth, he knows to move and how to get out of situations and still come out on top. So
All right.
Schooling doctor.
You heard it, Brother Michael. Right? That's what he said. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I'm gonna give a background for some of y'all right here, and I have to go and say that it's been, I would say, two experiences for myself with regards to this and understanding some things. There's a professor at Savannah State College, who was known as Savannah State College at the time, Dr. Haynes Walton Jr., who we going to say is the greatest professor to be at Savannah State University. And Dr. Haynes Walton Jr., he did something, and that was down in this area. He uncovered or recovered something known as National Freedom Day. Here go people who attended Savannah State, worked at Savannah State, were part of Savannah State alums, were not aware that the first president of Savannah State University, Major Richard R. Wright, had created a federal holiday that inspired a federal holiday. And so what I would later on, based on Dr. Walter being my professor and me finding that out and knowing that Walter had played a role with regard to uncovering for us that again, and so on Hilton Head Island, again, like I said, that's where my mom know from, on Hilton Head as a part of the Gullah celebration, they began to celebrate National Freedom Day. What day is that? That's February 1st, National Freedom Day. And it is the further, and I began to let people understand that that is the first federal holiday inspired by an African American. A federal holiday is not Juneteenth, not MLK, because June asked that question to tons of people, and they're going to say Juneteenth, they're going to say MLK. I was like, no, National Freedom Day. And inspired by the thought of the gentleman we know as the first president of Savannah State University today, Major Richard R. Wright. And so, Brother Mike, we won't let you get into what is National Freedom Day?
Well, National Freedom Day is a celebration of the signing of the 13th Amendment by Abraham Lincoln, which was the constitutional order that liberated African people here, enslaved African people in the United States. It was created, in 1943, R.R. Wright submitted to then President Truman the need for a day that honored the signing of the 13th Amendment. And in 1948, after R.R. Wright's death, Truman designated, signed into ordinance the celebration honoring National Freedom Day. So in 1948, it was set aside that February 1st would be the day honoring National Freedom Day, the signing of the 13th Amendment.
And National Freedom Day, why is it important? Your perspective.
Yeah. So for me, anything that celebrates the liberation of our people, whether it's National Freedom Day, Black History Month, anything that acknowledges that, I think is important for the national society, number one. And number two, I think on a personal level, we need to understand that there were people that didn't think, Juneteenth didn't happen until January, almost a year later after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. And so I think sometimes we forget the work that goes on behind the scenes on behalf of our people. And so National Freedom Day, being a day that honors the signing of the 13th Amendment, I think it's important for our people. And it's important for America and the world, really.
And I'm glad you said that. So now I ask the question of you is, who should celebrate it? Who should celebrate it? Because again, as I said, this holiday is inspired by, it originates from the mind of an African person. And you talked about the 13th Amendment. So who should celebrate National Freedom Day?
I think anybody that it was affected, anybody's family or ancestry that was affected by the signing of the 13th Amendment should celebrate it, which is the majority of national born Black folk in this country. And then second to that, there are there are Black, brown, and even white folks that need to understand that this is a day that was important in our nation. It set us aside from the, prehistoric thinking of one person owning another person, and it made the country acknowledge, as part of its constitutional laws, that one human being could not own another human being. So it defines the Black man and black people, I'll say Black people, as full human beings in this place that we call the United States.
Okay. Yes. And as we shared, on Hilton Head Island, they were doing this celebration, and it was a part of the Gullah Festival. Johnny Johnny Mitchell, who was a professor at Savannah State. She, when Dr. Walton presented it to her, and she was a part of the Hilton Head Gullah Celebration Committee, and that's when they decided to go with it, to run with that. And with regards to tied to Mitchellville and all that on Hilton Head, the historical moment in Mitchellville, where you now have what's called the Port Royal Experiment. This is for the people here locally, and that again, those nationally who know about the story. So that's why Hilton Head said we are going to now carry forth this celebration that's done, that was created by Major Richard R. Wright, inspired by Major Richard R. Wright. But then, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Dr. Torrey, I think the importance for us to acknowledge it is for us to get back to realizing our full value as human beings, and our portion of what is positive in this country. And you know, even you know, I listened to some of the work you're doing on behalf of the displacement of you know, people and selling of land and all that's going on and around Savannah right now. And you know, all of this locks in together. You know, our self-awareness comes from us celebrating these milestones that are that we have here in this place called America. And so you know, I think all of our work intersects on behalf of each other from honoring these things.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So we celebrate here in the Low Country and South Carolina in particular. And so, but again, as I said, so I'm thinking in my mind that we're doing it just here, that this is the only place. Later on, I then discovered and realized that, wait a minute, when somebody came to work at Savannah, said, that is my mama's minister, one of my mama's ministers, Reverend Carolyn Jordan, that now she comes and I find out who she is. I'm like, look at it. And so then she brings up National Freedom Day. And I'm like, wait a minute. I said, yeah, we do it on Hilton Head. And in fact, when I do the Black History Moments, that's my first Black History Moment has always been tied to National Freedom Day. I'm like making sure that I bring that up. And I'm thinking like, wow. I'm like saying it's celebrated on Hilton Head Island. And that's why I used to say, then when she brought that, I'm like, wait a minute. We do it in Philadelphia. So that's why I want you to discuss that, the Philadelphia component that you all continue to, y'all from the very moment it's created, y'all are carrying it on. So can you share with the audience about that? Because I was like, wow. So here go, again, these pockets right here, but then they were still, I was like, they were carrying on the legacy in Philly.
Absolutely. So I'm born in 1955. Dr. Jordan is ahead of me a little bit, but we're not going to talk about that. But since I can remember, and what is recorded is since 1948, there's been a commemoration, pretty much initially led by the Wright family to honor National Freedom Day, and from a child, the tradition has been the youngest child would go to the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia.
Okay.
There's a ceremony there, and the ceremony is a laying of the wreath honoring National Freedom Day at the Liberty Bell. And throughout the years, they have had keynote speakers that have come, and of the prominent names in our own Black history. Dr. King spoke there. Reverend Leon Sullivan has spoken there. Mayor Wilson Goode, many of the HBCU presidents and those who are have been important in the work of moving Black people forward have been there. And so the wreath at the bell is the first part of it. Then there is a luncheon and a keynote. And, they read proclamations from cities and states, from mayors and governors all around the United States, and then international people from, West Africa and so forth that have that honor and acknowledge the day and the work of Major R.R. Wright in bringing this this celebration this honoring day to fruition. About 7 years ago, when Dr. Jordan, my cousin, came to Savannah State, um, and met with you and made the connection of what was happening there in Georgia, and what was not really happening at Savannah State. We decided that we would want to have this carry on at the place where Major R.R. Wright spent most of his time, where a lot of his energy that went behind organizing and thinking this thing out and establishing these relationships with political people and even President Truman, that we needed to have a celebration there. So while the ceremony is going on at the Liberty Bell, we in Savannah started to have a ceremony at the bust. So it's the bell and the bust. And the ceremony in Savannah is the youngest right now, that continues on. The youngest child presents a wreath at the bust of Major R.R. Wright. And then we have a keynote or activity which we think is progressive enough to stir up some energy and some ideas in the people that are in attendance, and particularly the students at Savannah State, which Major Wright had a great affinity for, and our family still does. And we've had several speakers. We've had Reverend William Lamar, who is the pastor at Metropolitan in Atlanta, which was President Obama and the First Lady's church. We've had Teresa Fry Brown, who is a prolific educator and writer. And then we've had civil rights attorney Mawali Mel Davis out of Atlanta, who is continually on the forefront of fighting the battle of equality, fairness, and judicial equity for our people. And so this year will be the first time we're returning face to face. We've been virtual for the last 2 years, and this year we will be doing kind of a hybrid. And if I could say more, I will. So,
yeah, that's fine. Because we want the audience to know. Yeah, because again, we telling everyone share the information, and want to participate in the Freedom Day celebrations that are done right here. So yes, indeed.
Yeah, we're truly excited this year. The theme is how to be free in 2023, a vision of our future rooted in our past. And while the events are going on in Philadelphia, I'm sorry, I don't have what their agenda is, but for Savannah, and for the people listening, we want you to come out and consider to be part of this. We will have the ceremony at the bus. It will be at 12 noon. There'll be some speakers there and some acknowledgments of the folks that will be attending, the noted people that will be attending. And then later on that evening at 6:30, there will be a roundtable discussion that is going to be led by Dr. Christina Davis. She's a professor of African Studies at Savannah State, and will be facilitated. The conversations will be facilitated by Attorney Francis Johnson, another civil rights attorney from out of Statesboro, Georgia. And that will happen at Savannah State. Via web, we will be engaging Attorney Mawali Davis's pre-law students at Clark Atlanta University. So it'll be a web conversation between these two gatherings. And the hope is to come out with 3 action items for our attendees to consider, and for those who get a chance to listen and share with, to take out and maybe implement in their movements, whatever, whichever they are, activities for our people.
Yes, yes, indeed. And so that again on February 1st, that's what will be happening. So right now you have Philadelphia, Hilton Head, and also Savannah, Georgia. And I was like, wow, this is something that is great. This is magnificent because again, it's about our first president. And as I tell them, and I just so happened to put on my Savannah State shirt today, not because of the show, but because I should say, excuse me, I'm gonna rewind. And again, it was symbolic, it was ancestral that their guys say, okay, this is what's going to happen. This was bam, they're going to be on the show today. So again, but I had to wear this because I was with some other Savannah State people where we were like working it on out. We were doing our thing earlier, so that way it falls all in place. And so again, Savannah State, Savannah, Georgia, Philadelphia, Hilton Head, celebrating, recognizing National Freedom Day, the first federal holiday that's inspired by an African. And I have to share this with you on why it's so important for Savannah State, because only Savannah State University can go and say that its first president was the inspiration behind a federal holiday. The only HBCU that can go and say that, the only one. And so that's why I tell people, again, you have to know your greatness. And then when you know your greatness, you then let other people know. And so that's why we're honored to talk about this today, because it fits so well with regard to who we are. And I tell people at times, and Dr. Jones heard me say this to other people, I said that I am a child of Major Richard R. Wright. I am a descendant of Major Richard R. Wright. And some people look at me like, wait a minute, so you like Dr. Jordan? I said, listen here, anyone that has graduated from who attended Savannah State University, you are descendants of Major Richard R. Wright. And just like he set the bar for all of us, he set the standard for all of us. He elevated up like that. And so guess what? All of us are supposed to shoot up there just like that too. We're supposed to have an impact on this world. Our first president of Savannah State University. That's why I said all of us. What we're going to do right now, we're going to take a commercial break, because I don't have no issue with our producer, Julius Hall, who's making a wrong mistake, he and Bernard Brown, when they go and say that it's going to be something won by San Francisco when they play Philly. It ain't about to happen. I'm just going to throw it on out there. Bam, you see the Eagles. Eagle rise. And that's not North Carolina Central. That's Philadelphia. So if we're going to take a commercial break, we'll come right back and entertain some more stuff with our brother, Michael Wright. We are back. Run tell that. We are here with our brother Michael Wright of the Wright family, Major Richard R. Wright, and Run Tell That, and the other shows on Our Black Media. We are on YouTube, Our Black Media channel on YouTube, and also on Facebook, Our Black Media. But then also on Roku television, also TV. We are there also, so you can check us out. And we have shows that reruns will occur on tomorrow and run. And so we're saying to you all, run to Savannah State University. Those of you here in Savannah, or if you're in Philly, or if you're in Hilton Head, or some other areas, even if you don't do it in your own city, now create this holiday for you now to go and celebrate on February 1st. Run to that. And we say to everyone, share. And so, Brother Michael, right?
Jamal,
you do a lot.
Dr. Torrey, before you go.
You gonna say Brother Jamal, so we don't worry about no ties or positions.
You're right.
All right.
So So I want to rewind a minute.
All right.
The excitement that you exhibited talking about Savannah State and National Freedom Day is significant. So I have noticed over many years how the King holiday, which is equally important, Juneteenth, equally important, these days have become days off for folk. Not days of action, not days of movement,
Mm,
not days of
mm,
reflection. And I I hope that this program that is at Savannah State and the work that I see you doing. I may not make comments on social media, but I see you. I want you to know that I see you. And I think it's important that in the acknowledging of these days, we try to link it to something important.
mm.
I'm in the middle right now since the first of the year in a fast. We do this every
Yeah,
year, my wife and I. It's voluntary, but initially it was not voluntary.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I try to change habits and behaviors that are not positive, that don't pay into me, that don't pay
Mm,
into my work. And so I would challenge those who are listening and
mm,
who have listened to Brother Jamal to take these celebrations, these honorings of these particular days with some clarity of what the day meant and what
mm,
changes you can link to that day for yourself. It's not just a day of speeches, and it's not just a day off,
mm.
but it's a day for you to reflect on things that better yourself, better our community, and better our world. And when I say those three things, I'm talking about Black people,
Yes, sir.
our community, our bodies, and our place in the world. So I didn't want to let that go. You had me getting ready to throw my hat up in the air, and so I just want my hope would be that these celebrations and honorings of National Freedom Day will pique that excitement and that passion in the folks that participate and hear about it and see it the same way you just exhibited about Savannah State University.
Yes, sir, my brother. And we give honor, to all those who came before us who made it possible. And that's why I tell people I never take it lightly and never understanding, again, the significance of Major Richard R. Wright and what he stood for. I tell folks, here is a man who is a historian, a man who is a political leader, a man who is an educator, who's on the forefront of liberation education. Liberation education. That's what he was about. And I'm going to say, like I said, I put it up there saying that if he set a standard like that, that's what I'm supposed to follow. And I'm supposed to understand that. And he was given that's why I'm mesmerized and say that I'm a part of that I walk on the same soil as Major Richard R. Wright, along with the others, all of them right there. So those ancestors right there saying, guess what? That's a part of my DNA. It's a
Yeah,
part of my cultural DNA. It's a part of who I am, and that's what I must be about. And so then, and then when you go and understand all the things that he did, and just to throw something out there, some of y'all going to talk about multicultural education. Guess what? Major Richard R. Wright, I tell folks, is one of the first people to write about African Latino history in the early 1900s, late 1890s. So I'm like, this man right here. So again, I tell folks, that's our first president. So now I have an obligation to follow suit with regards to that. And so that's why, again, brother, that's why we merely go along the path that has always been trodden and made for us. Again, and that's why, and this is beautiful path, this great work that has been done, that's stellar for all of us. And we are a part of that. We are part of that great family. And so
yeah,
with regard to that, and when we say our African family, I tell people our Africanity. That's all part of our Africanity.
absolutely. And his work even with commerce with Haiti in the 20s, and in before it was even a thought of Pan African economics and commercial enterprises. Um, and I have friends that know the history and so forth of our family, and they say, "Wow, do you ever feel like you haven't achieved, this is a big shadow. This is a big shadow. And it took a lot of pondering, because when you're a young kid and you're in the shadow of greatness, you don't know it all the time. You're just a young kid. You want to
Yes.
do the things that kids do. But I've
Yes.
come to realize that every life, every life in the realm of our people is a chapter, and
Yes.
everybody writes their own chapter.
Yes.
I'm not. It's not for me to write Richard R. Wright's chapter. It's for me to write Michael Wright's chapter, and
Yes.
to
Yes.
do and to be authentic to myself, and to do the work with in as much humility as a person is able to muster, with as much compassion as a person is to muster, and as much charity as a person can muster. And that's the chapter that I write, and that's whatever the listener's chapter is. Find what your work is, and write your chapter, and that's enough. That's enough.
Yes, yes, yes. And so now you threw something out there. And some people don't realize it, that some of my scholars in my classes when I was at Savannah State, we would talk about this in the class I would teach called Pan-Africanism. And so then what I did, I would begin to show them that how Savannah State is tied to Pan-Africanism. And so they sit in the class and they're like looking, they like listening to this right here. And they like, Jamal, we making these connections right now. We just seeing it. So when you think about, they just gonna solely think about Du Bois, now understand Du Bois was hanging out at Savannah State with Major Richard R. Wright. He's hanging out in Savannah, being in Savannah. So here it is, they're looking at Du Bois, and so they're not Bishop Henry McNeil Turner, that they're looking at, they're not seeing these connections. They're like saying, wait a minute, wow. People that don't know our significance. I said, that's right. That's why I said it becomes so important for you not to be the ones to talk about and put it out there. If other people are not celebrating you, guess what? You know your story. You not celebrate you, and you let the world know it. So when you said that, I'm like, yeah, Pan-Africanism is tied to us, and they tied to us right here. Because even some of us right here in coastal Georgia, we think that's something that's far removed. That's that African stuff right there. But you went and said, no, that was a part of our story here.
Absolutely. Relationship, right? So to your point about W.B. Du Bois, and just doing, I'm still, as you know, working through a lot of the letters and history and all of that, not only to understand Major Wright's history, but to knit together all, as much of the genealogy as I can.
Yes.
And found a letter that Major Wright's son wrote to Truman on behalf of W.E.B. Du Bois when the nation was trying to paint him as anti-American. There's I don't know how many letters back and forth with Booker T. Washington. I don't know how many letters there are back and forth between Mary McLeod Bethune.
Yes.
So, and I'm not saying that to throw the names out. I'm just saying that within their work, within each of their own work, they had relationships with each other
yes.
that, it's rich. It's rich, and it needs to be discovered and acknowledged and used as an example as our young people and our young soldiers and queens and kings start to move forward to realize the value of relationship across sorors, across fraternities, across HBCUs, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I'm going to say this right here, Brother Mike. I will share something, and Reverend Dr. Jordan would hear me say it, and she was going to talk about relationships. So I'm going to say this to Reverend Dr. Jordan. I know where you got that from. You got that from Brother Mike. You got that from Brother Mike about relationship. See, you make it seem like it was just something all original that you had heard. Yeah, Jamal, you heard that. What it was, it's about relationships. So now I realize it came from Brother Mike. Mike was the one. So I'm just saying. So because what I tell this account, I said that Major Richard R. Wright is the first president. I mean, he's the first principal of the first public black high school in the state of Georgia, Ware High School in Augusta, Georgia. And he has a newspaper business in Augusta, Georgia. And he has a friend that's working with him by the name of Reverend Dr. E.K. Love, who went to predate to school that we know is Morehouse today. So they have a relationship right there. But later on, when the state of Georgia now creates the school that the first, the colored subdivision, the colored division of the University of Georgia, that create the colored division of it, Major Richard R. Wright now becomes the first president. So now his homeboy is in Savannah, Georgia. And so they want the school in Cuthbert, Georgia. They want the school in Macon. They want the school in other places around the entire state of Georgia. Everybody wants the school. And I tell folks, it's just like this. I said, Reverend E.K. Love is the pastor at Historic First African Baptist Church. And so I said, Reverend Love is like, yo, check this out.
Right.
My homeboy is the president.
Right.
My homeboy up in Ashland, he like, let me talk to him. We can get the school in Savannah. Everybody wants the school. But based on the fact that Reverend E.K. Love and Major Richard R. Wright had worked together, the same mindset, progressive for the people, about liberation for the people, that's when Major Richard R. Wright said, yo, check this out, E.K. Give the state of Georgia some land. Give them some land. The school come to Savannah. So that's when Reverend E.K. Love now, they meet down at First African Baptist Church with Reverend Alexander Harris, along with Reverend James Sims from First Bryant Baptist Church, and later on Thankful Baptist, all that. They now meet down there and they get that land and they now take it to the state of Georgia. The school comes to Savannah. And that's when I shared the one time, that's when Reverend Dr. Jordan said, it's relationships.
It is. It is. And just the way we commune with our contemporary brothers and sisters now, why is it so hard for people to realize that that's the way we do relationships all along in our whole history? It's been relationship. We were kidnapped and brought to a place where we didn't know anything. How could you not have survived without some type of relationship, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so I like that how that was stitched together very well.
And that's it. Absolutely. And that's the thing that I say, that those connections. And that's why. And so when you threw up, one of the things I'm gonna throw up too, relationship too, Mary McLeod Bethune, because Major Richard R. Wright doesn't live to see the signing of it.
Right.
But then Mary McLeod Bethune and all of them are standing right there with Truman. And I was like, wow. And so Mary McLeod Bethune, also for some of you, she lived in Savannah also. So she's in Savannah also for a part of her life. Her only son is born here in Savannah. So again, you talk those relationships, and I'm like saying, and Booker T, and I tell folks, Booker T is in Alabama. He's at Tuskegee. And he's looking at what Major Richard R. Wright is amassing here in Savannah at this school over here. And in fact, the second president of FAMU comes from Savannah State, was under the leader, he was under the guidance of Major Richard R. Wright, president of Lincoln University in Missouri, under the guidance of Major Richard R. Wright. So all these people right here, and I say, so he's not sending these people out. And then you got one, Dr. Monroe Work, who now when y'all talk about Black Lives Matter, I tell folks, I say, guess what? Monroe Work is the reason why we know about this lynching. So y'all look at Without Sanctuary, all that. He and his wife, who's from Savannah, they're the ones. And I say, guess what? They are all harbored at a place called Savannah State University today, under the tutelage and the guidance of and the vision of Major Richard R. Wright. Powerful. I tell folks, can you only imagine if we still had all of them right here today, and if we understood our story? Right. I'm like, when you said it, brother, I'm like saying, these are the people right there, understanding the connection of relationships.
Yeah. And Jamal, you know yourself as an educator that when you see a student catch it, it's a gratifying feeling. And so, the task, or at least our part of our journey, as I see it, is how many people can we help catch that energy? Yes. And it's not just some success, personal success comes with it. That's okay.
Right.
But
right.
The community and the people, you can't leave that part out. You can't be successful just wanting to have yourself be successful.
That's right.
You know,
That's
high water floats all boats. So
that's
be high
right.
water. Be high
That's right.
water.
That's it exactly. I tell folks, greatness, you never achieve greatness by yourself. Others help you to achieve greatness. So that means you have an obligation to reach and pull someone else to that point. And that's it exactly. And so I want to throw this out there to you with regards to what do you see the community needing? Because you threw some of it out there. What do you see the community needing? And when I say community, I'm talking about our African community. What do you see that we needing? You know, if it's just in the U.S. or globally, with regards, what do you see that we need to help empower us?
You know, we need minds. We need judicial minds like Brother Mawali, who's going to be part of this discussion, Brother Francis, who are out there fighting for judicial justice for us. You know, leaning, you know, making sure that we're represented in a way that not only liberates the persons involved with the civil rights case, but has a decision that sets a precedent to undo future wrongs that are similar. Um, from an economic standpoint, we have to figure out, and this has been said years and years over, how to capitalize on this economic um, gasoline that the Black
Mm,
community
mm,
has
mm.
into American commercial economics.
Yes.
We are a whole nation in the money that we spend, but we're a minute city in the return that we get from the money that we spend. So we need to figure we need to have people that have financial and statistical expertise, utilize that to make the same changes in the economic structure as Brother Mawali and others. You know, Ben Crump and all those are doing it from the judicial side. And then I think lastly, um, we need to figure we need to instill in our young people the liberation that comes from self-determined
Mm,
entrepreneurship,
mm.
to where to cut a path that like the JL Johnsons and the CJ Walkers cut, that stood as an economy and a business model by itself that was unaffected by the oppressor's need to crush down a successful small business. And so I think those things are really, those are three things I would point to as being important right now: the judicial piece, the economic piece, and then the entrepreneurial piece.
Yes, and we are here, and Reverend Betty Jones, glad to have you on the show. Glad to have you here. And we said everyone share, share, share. And we have Brother Michael Wright, uh, one of the descendants, the physical descendants of Major Richard R. Wright. And we're here. We're talking about National Freedom Day, the first federal holiday that was inspired by an African American. Again, not Juneteenth, not MLK, but National Freedom Day. And some of you know, Major Richard R. Wright is also the first president of Savannah State University. But not only president of Savannah State University, he is, as a little boy, he is in North Georgia. And that's when General O.O. Howard, the president of Howard University, when he now is there, and he said, basically paraphrasing, what should we tell the people of the North about the Negroes in the South? And that's when Richard R. Wright gets up. This little boy says, tell them we are rising. Becomes a poem, but then it becomes a theme for many of us. And now I say anyone from Savannah State University and any HBCUs understand we are always rising. And people use that refrain with regards to talking about us in education and liberation. That is not something loose for some of us. It is actual and factual. And so, Brother Michael, I'm going to just ask this question. I know that there are two President Wrights in your family.
Absolutely. There is Major R.R. Wright, president of Savannah State University. And then there's R.R. Wright Jr., who was the president of Wilberforce University.
Yeah.
And I think talking to some of my grandchildren, there's one in particular that may end up being the president of another HBCU. She may even end up at Savannah State.
Woo! That's
Yeah.
what we're talking about. That's what we're
Yes.
talking
Yes.
about. Yes.
You know,
Power.
Jamal, the thing that it inspires me about my grandfather's legacy. I'm inspired by his legacy, but his mother,
All
you
right.
know, the family mythology or legend, but it's the story that we were told as young children, is
Yes.
that when his mother heard that they were liberated, she didn't hang around Cuthbert, Georgia.
Okay.
She grabbed her 3 children and started to walk to Atlanta.
Yes. Yes.
So this is a slave, a mother, a woman who's a slave, who is the mother of 3 children who are slaves.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the opportunity to be in Cuthbert, Georgia,
Okay.
and travel from Cuthbert to Atlanta. And what you see on the way, even now today, is cotton field, cotton
Yes, sir.
field, cotton field, cotton field. So I have always been intrigued by what
Mm,
was that conversation
yes.
that she had with her 3 children,
Yes.
particularly my great great grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
What did she say to him that made education latch on in such a way that it changed the trajectory of our whole family,
Yes.
our whole family legacy?
Mm-hmm.
Um, as usual, a black woman, um, create who has this creation with her and has put something into them. And I don't know much about his brother and his sister. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking, and I'm tend to find it, but
Yes.
the how remarkable a woman, um, that she imparted something on that journey from Cuthbert to Atlanta that
Yes.
changed this young man to be the person that we're talking about, and are glad that he had put together this honoring of this day. So
Yeah.
I've always been intrigued by that, and I hope that that's some help I'll be seeking with you to tie together at some point.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And his legacy sets the lives of thousands of millions of people in this world right here. And that's why I say it's so powerful. He also now becomes becomes a bank president, a leader in the finance. And so I'm gonna throw this out here to you because I'm gonna let you know this, brother Mike. Run Tell That is the little brother show of all the shows on the Our Black Media Network. We are the little brother show. All the other shows have like 5 hours. They go for 5 hours, 24 hours. But Run Tell That we have only 57 minutes because we're the little brother show. That's how they treat us. But guess what? In
For
our
now,
little brother show, we still get the information out there. So what we want to do, what inspiration that you would like to provide for the audience? Any words of inspiration that you want to provide to the audience?
yeah. So um, the society we find ourselves living in right now has either intentionally and sometimes unintentionally caused us to forget our sacred contract.
Mm. All right.
I'm of the belief that our spirit compelled the Creator to let us come and be physical,
Mm-hmm.
to do this thing that makes our community, our people, and our world better. And what I encourage you to do is to try to remember and try to see from the pathways of your life as you look back what your sacred contract may be,
Okay.
and to live authentically and then try to fulfill that sacred contract. um and it's our gift, it's our divine application, and it is going to be better for our people and the world when you remember that and you live it out.
Yes. Yes.
Remember yourselves.
Yes, indeed. And this is National Freedom Day, February 1st, the first federal holiday inspired by an African person. Events will be held at Savannah State University and will be held in Philadelphia. And with regards to this, we are looking at Hilton. Hilton Head also celebrate National Freedom Day. So again, and we are thankful to have on our show, Run Tell That. That is Brother Michael Wright. And we said to you, those in Savannah, come out to Savannah State University. They have information posted. You can go out to social media and see it, and also go to the website and see National Freedom Day. And so also with regards to in Philadelphia. So any other contact information, Brother Mike, that people can get more information on National Freedom Day?
Yes, you can get it on our on the Savannah State University under the National Freedom Day tab, or on all the social media, SSU on Instagram and Facebook.
All right, excellent. So there's one last question I need to ask you, my brother. This question is an important question, and we asked you the question: what is the best high school in Savannah, Chatham County, Georgia? See, again, we're going to say the Savannah, Chatham County, Georgia. If you say Herschel B. Jenkins High School, you'll be absolutely correct. So I'm just asking you the question: what is the best high school in Savannah, Chatham County, Georgia?
Herschel B. Jackson.
Bam, he's right there. So Julius Hall, you heard it. HBJ, Evans B. Jenkins High School in the house. So again, Ron, tell that to all the rest of you, Bernard Brown, the rest of y'all. You heard it came out of the mouth of Michael Wright. It wasn't me. He said it. Bam. So I'm just letting y'all know. Again, glad to have you, brother. We look forward to seeing everybody on next week, next Wednesday. Ron, tell that. Again, National Freedom Day. Again, Brother Miley Davis, Brother Francis Johnson, Sister Christina Davis. Bam. We see everybody right there. Run, tell that. Spread the word. National Freedom Day. Appreciate you, brother. Peace and blessings. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Always. Because y'all know we hail the SSU. Y'all know that's what we're going to do.
The Savannah State University.
That's right. That's right. So, yes. Yes, indeed. We'll see y'all next week.
Like that.